Hi all, welcome to another video. This is a system based on the Intel G3260 CPU, which is socket 1150. That's a 2-core 2-thread CPU released in 2015, so it is getting on a bit. And I've got 16 gigs of DDR3 600 MHz RAM, two 8 gig sticks, so it runs in dual channel, an SSD hard drive, and the graphics card is an EVGA GTX 960 superclocked with 4 gig of VRAM. Now the plan is to upgrade that CPU to an i5-4570, but that's not arrived yet. So what I've done is I've run the two graphical benchmarks, Heaven and Valley, with Bandicam recording, without Bandicam recording, and I'll run a few games as well. And then when the i7's in, I'll run some more benchmarks. Now the system's not actually put together yet. It's in what I call breadboarding stage, so it's not in the case. And once those components go in the case with the i5, I'll run some more benchmarks. So with Bandicam recording, on Heaven we're getting a score of 1512, Valley 2737. Without Bandicam recording, Heaven is 1732 and Valley is 3177. So that's a downshift about 15%. So any of the games that I benchmark with Bandicam recording, expect a similar downshift in final results. So what I'll do now is start up a few games. So up first is Doom Eternal. Now this is a mix of high and medium, and I think one of the settings is set to low. Now it's just nudging 50 frames per second, sometimes even getting to 60. But I think on this sort of game you probably get away with setting the quality to medium without compromising the quality too much on this size monitor. So that's what I do, is I'd set them all to medium just to get that frame rate a bit more stable, because this is not even a very taxing area, even though there's a lot of characters on the screen at the moment, and it sometimes gets to 60, but depending on what's going on, that frame rate does go down a lot. So yeah, just experiment. I mean, this is a well optimised game anyway, so it's doing okay. And try and get as close or as stable frame rate as possible. Right, so that's Doom Eternal. So on to Cyberpunk. Now, as this game is going to tax this system quite a lot, I've set all the quality values to minimal and the on-off flags to off. So the resolution I've also dropped down a couple of notches to 1600 by 900. So really it's trying to get right balance between quality and frame rate in a game such as Cyberpunk, and see what we can come up with. So let's run the in-game benchmark. I'll stop the video and let that run. Right, so the benchmark is completed. Now the average frame rate is nudging 30, minimum is 12 and maximum is 33. Ideally we want the minimum maximum figures to be as close as possible, so that tells me that if any of the game has quite busy scenes, then you may experience some frame rate dips now and again. But if you can get 30 on a game like this, then that's going to be fine. I mean, the menu options are quite comprehensive, so it's trying to find the right balance between quality and frame rate and what you're most comfortable with. Okay, so that's Cyberpunk. On to Red Dead Redemption 2 now. And as with Cyberpunk, the graphical menu is quite comprehensive. So what I've done is I've selected a mixture of medium and low and switched off some of the on-off flags, and any quality settings with the sliding scale I've dropped those down as well, and I've dropped the resolution to 1600 by 900. So what I'll do is I'll run the in-game benchmark and report back with the results. Also, as a side note, if you look in the top left here, there's a setting that shows you what video memory is being used. Now, I think with those settings, a 2 gig card would struggle because it's over definitely over 2.5 meg of VRAMs being used. So that 4 gig of VRAM on this graphics card will come in useful on games such as this. So I'll stop the video and reconvene when the benchmark is finished. So, not the most exciting of end screens. So these are the results from Red Dead Redemption 2's benchmarking. Minimum 14, maximum 41, average 28 frames per second. So looking at that, I'd say adjust the quality settings to low from medium and try and get to higher average and minimum maximum as close to as possible in value, because it looks like any built up areas would have a detrimental effect on performance because those two values are quite far apart. Okay, so that's Red Dead Redemption 2. So on to Forza Horizon 4. Now in the in-game settings I've set most of the, if not all, the quality values to low or medium, and the resolution is 1280 by 720. Now I've got the frame rate at 60 frames per second, but if you get any stutters then it's probably better to set that to 30. So I'll run the in-game benchmark and report back with the results. Looking at the results of Forza Horizon 4, target, as I said, was 60 frames per second, and we achieved 55 frames per second, which is really good. And from those results, you've got a bit of headroom to get those quality settings up and even nudge up the resolution as well. This game series is well optimised, so feel free to even try Forza Horizon 5, which I haven't got yet, and try it out. So that's Forza Horizon 4. Just to sum up then, this system based on a relatively low powered CPU, which is the G3260, can run some of the most recent what you call AAA games, but you must make sure that those quality settings in the menus are set to low. And if you're interested, that's the case on screen at the moment that I'm going to be putting this system in when the i5 arrives. It's the CIT Beam mid-tower case. Well, it's smallish mid-tower, I'd say. So what I'll do is I'll do another video with a few more games in it when the i5 arrives, but at least it gives you an idea of what that CPU can still do once it's paired with an SSD 16 gig of RAM and a relatively decent graphics card, which is the GTX 960. Try and go for 4 gig now, because 2 gig really just doesn't cut it. And if you noticed in the Red Dead Redemption menu screen, that 2 gig VRAM limit was well exceeded. So if you've got any queries about this system as it stands, let me know. But as I said, I am actually going to be putting this in the case once the i5 CPU arrives, and I'll do another set of benchmarking on that and show you the actual build once completed.